come to the final piece of today, which is a panel discussion around the role and importance of training and continued professional development for panel practitioners. And I'd like to introduce each member of the panel, and then I'll let them give a little further explanation in terms of their own background and experience in the area of training. So sitting beside me, Gus Nielsen, who is the course manager of our ceramics school down in Thomastown. Next to Gus, we have Amy Cafferty, who is an external verifier with City and Guilds. Then we have Derek Walsh, Derek works with Cross in the training services area. Then we have Sean McClone, who is the Chief Executive of Kilkenny County Enterprise Board. And right at the end of the table, we've got Emer Farron, who is our Enterprise Development Manager at the Crafts Council of Ireland. So I'm going to ask each member just to give a little bit more background into their own background and experience, and maybe ask them in terms of the type of training that they've been involved in. So I'll hand over to Gus, and I must say, I just want to commend you on the birdhouses. I forgot that they were going to be shown today, so he has a number of strings to go.
Okay, my name is Gus Nielsen. I came over in 1990 to set up the ceramics training course down in Thomastown with the Crafts Council. My background is as a maker. I had my own business in England for 14 years prior to coming. So prior to that, I would have gone through the art school system. I would have gone through a school system, O&A levels, being very aware that art design was very much a devalued subject. And I think that's something that is a major issue at the moment. Unfortunately, it still hasn't changed over a number of years since I was in school. The academic, so-called academic subjects are still at the fore in all education. And I was interested, just as a little aside here, to hear Louise mention Sir Ken Robinson. And I sort of urge you all to go online as soon as this seminar is over. Key in TED, capital T, capital E, capital D, and see his 18-minute speech on creativity in education. I think anybody who's involved in education and cares about education should see that. It's a wonderful speech, and it shows the way forward.
My name is Jo Cafferty. Good afternoon, everybody. I've been an external verifier for City and Guilds courses Design and Craft for over 15 years now. So I'd be delighted to give you an overview of how it works in Ireland in the design and craft area.
Derek Walsh. I work in a central unit with a team where we develop programs and improve them. And these programs are subsequently rolled out into our training centre network. We have 16 training centres dotted around the country. And within the makeup of the courses, we have apprenticeship, which is a 4-year program, all on and off the job training. And while there's over 20 apprenticeships, but a lot of them may not really be linked directly with the work of the Craft Council, but a lot of them are. There's a lot of overlap. If you look at trades like wood machining, carpentry and joinery, brick and stone laying, cabinet making, you can see there's a strong craft element associated with those. But outside of apprenticeship then we would have courses for unemployed people, and we have some traineeship programs, which again are alternating periods of on and off the job training. And the two that relate mainly to craft work would be jewellery manufacture and patching. Outside of that then we would have courses for unemployed people, daytime courses in areas like plaster mould work for incumbent craftspeople, sign writing, interior design, traditional stone wall building, stone scaping, and so on. And separately then we have some enterprise type programs that would be suitable for craft people, start your own business, enterprise development and so on. And apart from that then we have an evening course provision where we have a number of courses that would probably overlap with the craft areas that would be of interest to craft people. Things like maybe welding, metalwork, CAD, machine tool operating and so on. Generally they're fee-paying courses, but recently they're available free for unemployed people. And as well as that then we're currently working at new courses as well, and possibility we might start a course in Ilm pipe making, which is directly related to the craft sector. So that's just an overview of what we do.
Okay, Helen, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, as Helen says, I'm the Chief Executive of the Kilkenny County Enterprise Board. I suppose the first thing I should mention is we're part of a national network of 35 CEBs throughout the country. Each local authority area essentially has a local county enterprise board, so many people in the room here who are not from Kilkenny may not engage with us, but there will be a local county enterprise board in your area. I suppose in a sentence, what the enterprise board is about is providing a broad range of supports, financial and non-financial, including training, to assist people establish, develop and grow a small business. So that's essentially what we're about. We don't provide specific training of craft skills per se, but in our broad range of enterprise training, so we look at two broad groups. The first group would be those people out there, and we're seeing a lot of them presenting to us at the moment, who would be thinking about setting up a business. And with a broad range of programs that we can provide for those people, people who perhaps have been recently made unemployed, or a lot of them may have come through the likes of buses, the Pottery Skills program, and are presenting and want some assistance on how they can set up in business. And our core offering for that group of people will be our Start Your Own Business program, which is a kind of a 10-week program, 1 night a week for 10 weeks, where the participants all end up with a business plan at the end of that program. There's the formal engagement 1 night a week, but there's also CEB staff members who would shadow the participants throughout the program to assist them prepare, undertake their market research and so on, to assist them to prepare their business plans. And we have about 120 people a year through those Start Your Own Business programs, of which about 2 or 3% would be crafts people. We've done about 4 or 5 crafts people per annum through that program. So that's our kind of Start Your Own Business type entrepreneurship type program. And then moving on then, as I say, we have a broad role in small business development. We have a broad range of programs in assisting people currently in business to operate more efficiently, more effectively, to be more innovative, to improve the management of their business in terms of how they manage their cash, their profits, their sales, their customers, their suppliers and so forth. And then how they manage performance as well. And it's all about added value, it's all about growth, because we've a strong unit in terms of developing the local economy, in terms of job creation, and in terms of growing and sustaining small business locally. So that's our remit in a nutshell.
Okay, my name is Emer Farron, and I've been involved in business development with the Cross Council for a very long time. Since I was 23, I come from an arts craft background, and I'm a passionate interest in both fine art and craft. Started off running a business development program for the Cross Council that primarily promoted graduates to bridge the gap between what they learned at their level and what they were going to be facing in the workplace. That program ran from 1982 until 1998. So each year there was a crop of people coming out and setting up their own businesses, and many of them are still doing very well today. As time went on, we summarised our programs. There was no longer the funding. I mean, that program that I ran cost about £150,000 per year. So what happened was we condensed the programs. I built up a partnership with the enterprise boards, the 35 of them around the country, and they are and were incredibly supportive of craftspeople and the pursuing of their individual enterprise, and they've been very good in craftspeople with their business planning and have held their hand the whole way through the process, which has been very beneficial. In latter years, the Cross Council has been trying to concentrate on not just people who are starting off, but people who are in mid-career. And this is where I'd like to encourage you and to encourage all your friends who are in crafts, that mid-career development, continuing professional development is very important for craftspeople. And I do realise that craftspeople are going through a very difficult time, as everyone is at the moment. But there is a tendency, and it's coming back to me all the time, even I can't take a day out to come to a course in Kilkenny, or if we're running a course in Kilkenny, to encourage people to contact us and see what we have on offer. we have a whole suite of programs that we've put together with great thought, and we want to keep offering those to craftspeople. Our chief executive has suggested that people should be aiming for 5 days per annum. I'm going to do a PR thing here. Even if people can free up 3 days per annum, that would be very beneficial for craftspeople to pursue areas in which they might find weaknesses. And it's not just in business development. People come to me all the time and they need technical advice on new product techniques and things like that. So that's very important. We're also working on niche mentoring for people who have specific problems, because our partners in the Enterprise Board are very, very supportive in helping craftspeople with purely business elements. So if craftspeople need to know about niche elements of ceramics or jewellery, we're here. So that's basically what I do.
Thank you, Emer. I'm going to ask the panel, and you can nominate whoever wants to answer the question, but the report, Creative Pathways, looks at the whole area of training and continuing professional development, both, and there's kind of two sides to it. One side are young people and possible people, career changes, which are important, maybe because of what's happening economically out there, people who've been made unemployed and are looking to acquire new skills. And then the other side are people who have skills in making skills across a variety of craft disciplines and their requirements. So it's kind of divided into two. So what do you feel craftspeople who are in business are looking for when they look at training?
I think there's a lack of business training as part of their course, and there's always been a business element in the City and Guilds course. It hasn't always been taken up by the providers, but there's a new course now that has recently been launched called Creative Techniques, and there are two business units in that which are specifically written for the craft context, which should be very useful for both employability and for business planning. And I think that people realise how important it is for craftspeople to have these particular skills as well.
It's the importance of business skills. And Sean, that would be something that you'd be very much involved in.
Yeah, well, I suppose anyone that has heard me at these forums before will kind of know the mantra at this stage, because it's a huge issue for us. And as I said previously, you know, quite a number of craftspeople will be presenting to us, having come through an arts program or a degree level program, or even through a jewellery skills program or pottery skills program that's run locally here in County Kent. And the technical skill, or the craft design element, I can make versus what was sell, and you know, to commercialise that technical skill and design capability into a business, and you know, a little bit more than just sustaining a lifestyle. And I suppose the supports that the likes of agencies such as the Enterprise Board would provide would be directly proportionate to the ambition that a crafts practitioner would have for their business, because we want to see some impact, positive impact in the local economy. And there's always a dichotomy there, but I suppose in Kilkenny it's fair to say that it's hard to create one here, and quite a few. So, you know, craft businesses spread throughout, and what they add and bring to the local economy, the sum of the parts is greater than the individual elements. So we take quite a positive view, but that's always the conversation you would have with the craft enterprise. And I agree with Joan that there is an issue there in terms of the skills and training that craft practitioners are getting, in that they do not seem to be getting the entrepreneurial training as a formalised part of the program, as kind of an almost add-on, but yet more and more of them are having to look at self-employment as an option. So it's an issue that someone needs to address, and whether we do it in partnership or it's taken on board, but it needs to be addressed.
Yes, and I think the report it specifically talks about a number of different second and third level degrees and indeed even postgraduate programs that may require, or comments on the fact that we may need to look at the areas of entrepreneurship, marketing, financial management, and incorporate those into degree programs, so that graduates, when they come out, as you say, in the current economic climate, their options possibly to continue study to open their own business or to go abroad, and they're really certainly they will need those kind of skills. Okay, that's true.
No, I think that's but also I think within the retraining, it's to have a flexible system as possible, because even if you've been in business, like Ian was saying, most craftspeople, and I would have been like it in my early years, you just get on this cycle, you have to work, and there becomes gaps in knowledge. Being able to provide access to retraining, or just upskilling with short courses, whether you're a secondary school teacher or a primary school teacher or a professional craftsperson. I'm not saying I know the answers to how people do it, but I think the more everybody works together, the class council will say, well, what do you need to have, get requested and want to upgrade to a larger scale, well, we're pointing in the right direction, not just be running work, even for the practitioner to upgrade their skills. We tend to, because we can all do training at any stage, and the idea that we only learn in education sort of environment, I don't think is true. You can access the training in lots of different ways, and I think if everybody gets together, we can provide those opportunities.
Okay. In terms of, I'd love to invite a question from, I know there's many practitioners in the audience, makers, and we're very, very keen to understand what you look for when you're looking at training, be it business skills type training or indeed continued professional development training in your craft. The report talks about things like access to training, information about training, but I don't know whether anybody in the audience has a question or a comment they'd like to make.
Hi, I'm Owen MacDonald from the Federation of Jewellery Manufacturers. One of the areas we noticed, and Emer and ourselves had this conversation before, is the potential loss of skills within the jewellery trade. If you look at engraving and even high-level polishing, we're at risk of losing these areas completely, and I think at this moment it's essential that the extra skills required are offered to existing practitioners.
I think that's an excellent point, Owen, because it's something that we have had, there's two issues there. I think one is preserving existing skills and the risk of certain craft skills disappearing, which really form part of our heritage at this moment in time. We've had a number of meetings since I've joined the Crafts Council very, very recently, but Derek mentioned the Uilleann Piper Association of Ireland, and that craft of making Uilleann pipes is something that is one of the ones that may be at risk unless us stakeholders can come together and work together. But I think it is about partnership. It's about us connecting in with the likes of FOSS and so on, so that we can provide and ensure that these skills are preserved. But unless that happens, I mean, Gus would have had direct involvement with that. I think before the Survival Skills School was set up, there was a risk that the whole area of throwing skills was something that was at risk of being lost. So I think we're very conscious of it, and we're trying to figure out how do we get the information that is required, because we're a small place. So it's about events like today, and ensuring that we know what's at risk.
Sorry, Madam, just on the jewellery issue, I mentioned the jewellery traineeship, but that's in the future. The plan is that will convert it into an apprenticeship, which will be a 4-year programme with enough greater depth of treatment and so on, and that may help to address that issue that you mentioned.
We're very excited about the programme, and the whole industry has been, our sector has been very aware of the ongoing work being put into having that development. Our ambition for it, and I'm hoping that it's going to be supported on FOSS's side, is once that's up and running, that the programme that's being carried out, such as the stone setting at the moment, is expanded into other areas.
Yeah, but as it happens, I forgot to mention, there is a jewellery stone setting course, an evening time course aimed at skilled people, and that runs in our Baldala Training Centre, and that's fairly well subscribed, and that will continue.
Bernard McCoy. It's just coming back to the question on craftspeople and their business training. I think that craftspeople have a tendency to be so passionate about what they're doing that things get lost. I also don't feel that, I think the type of approach that is taken in terms of presenting them with a business training program, for instance, I think it has to be well worked out. They're quite different. We're quite different in the sense that just the approach has to be more sensitive to their needs, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. I think that the craftsperson has a very definite idea about what they need and what they want to do with their businesses, and I think sometimes it's not that they're intimidated or anything like that, but I think that any programs that are designed for them must be very carefully and sensitively done. And the Crafts Council have, along with Enterprise Boards, produced a number of different programs over the years, and they have been successful in certain elements of them. And I just think, just even in the future, to be careful about not, make sure that the craftsperson is listened to in a sense, and that their sensitivities are taken into account. Sometimes I don't think craftspeople are actually, because they're working on their own in isolation and so intensively, and passionate about what they're doing, that sometimes they don't even recognise that they need something. So I think that communication between the Crafts Council and individual craft makers is a huge, a necessity in terms of finding out exactly, because sometimes I think as craftspeople don't normally identify really what the problem is. So between the Enterprise Boards, Crafts Council and training providers, that they are listened to in that sense. So just to highlight that.
Thank you, Bernard. I do think it is about opening up channels of communication between all parties, because I think there's been lots of super interesting work that's been done in the past, but maybe we're in different times now, and we understand that the industry is facing huge challenges. So we really, really need to understand and to communicate with each other better than ever before to ensure that anything that we do is going to best serve
I mean, we've just introduced in our second year, we're coming to our second year, a business module. So, I mean, so Sean, when he gets X times down or X jewelry skills, and I'm sure Emma will do a similar thing with the jewelers, is that it's not a completely new thing to them. So things like pricing, which can really only be done if you're in the workshop with them, saying how long did that take you to do that? And they say, well, I don't know. So if we can introduce them into that sort of thinking, the simple marketing and pricing, when they come into the enterprise, it's a little bit more seamless rather than being a little bit of a shock.
And I think the thing in the third level, even though they touch on the business side of things, because the students are so passionate about what they're doing, it goes over their head a little bit and it doesn't sink in the actual importance of it. So again, I think, it's trying that good solution in terms of trying to...
And I think the practice element of that is very important. I think it has to be grounded in real life.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, got lots of things going through my head. But I would, just addressing about the jewellery trade things, I'm a jeweller, I teach in St John's College, I teach a jewellery course there. The problem with specialist trades in Ireland is the fact that most practitioners are working on their own and they have to have their own skills and rely on themselves. There's no specialist trades like there is where I was trained in Birmingham. I could go and get high quality polishing done. I didn't do stone mounting because I didn't like it, so I got somebody else to do stone mounting. And if you have a big enough trade, then you can support specialist skills. But in Ireland, what tends to happen is that people have to rely on themselves, and I've had to learn to be better at stone mounting and things. And all the skills are there within the trade people to different levels of degree, depending on how much they concentrate on their own skills. But one of the things that I've noticed about where I'm teaching is right at the beginning somebody said there's no young people going into crafts. I think that what's happening is that older people are wanting to go into crafts as an alternative, and you've mentioned about changing lifestyle And one of the difficulties is with that is that we get very creative people that have done degrees in art and design and things like this, and they come onto the course and they want specific skills because they've decided that metalwork is an interest that they want to take up. And I'm sure it happens in every other craft skill, is that people with a creative background are wanting to settle down into a craft skill or a craft area as a way of making a living. And the way grant systems and stuff, it's against people to do this because it's considered that they're taking a backward step by retraining after getting a degree. And that's completely wrong because they have the creativity, they're streets ahead of certain other people because they have the creative skills, but they need the specific trained skills. And even though our course is quite general and inclusive, and it still gives them specific skills that they have the wherewithal to know that they need them and that's what they want to do. But the country's against them really because they can't get grants, they can't get support while they're doing these trainings because they're considered to have gone beyond that kind of training.
Two things actually, really. One is about the skills base and holding the skills and trying to ensure that we hold on to what skills we have and we increase the level of skills and the number of skills that we have. And I would see some form of a correlation between C&G and FETAC in relation to that and it pulling together and it feeding one, feeding the other. C&G have concentrated on a skills base over the years, whereas FETAC are kind of slightly broader and more development of human development to include in the skills base. So what I would like to see personally is an amalgamation of the two, which would be very important for the development of the craft sector community as a whole. The second thing that I would be interested in is the recognition of CDP, continuous professional development. Like was just said earlier on, the recognition of your needs and being awarded the corresponding award, and even though, as he says, it might be underneath where your previous thing is, like I have a degree in education and training, which has no actual bearing in the strictest sense of the word in what I do, which is patchwork and quilting. If I actually go and pursue a bachelor's in patchwork and quilting, I can't get grant, it's right, because I already have an AA in education and training, so I'm lost, and so everybody is caught like that, and I think we need to look at that issue as well as, so that's continuous professional development, whether it's changing your direction into a craft or whether it's moving from your craft and upwards into professional development. So I'd like to see that kind of looked at as well. In relation to the business, I think, I just think people I'm no good at business, and that's just the truth of the issue. So I need somebody else to help me with that, and I'll never be good at business.
Okay, and Bertie, I think one of the points there in terms of CPD, the importance of CPD and continuing to learn. And we are in the era of lifelong learning.
Yes.
So learning should never stop. And that, I think, is applicable to anybody across any sector, to be honest. But just with that in mind, I know one thing the report referred to was this need for certain craft disciplines. There's really no training, there's no CPD available in certain disciplines. And I think expertise, there are lots of opportunities to bring in expertise, be it the likes of Jack Doherty coming over and participating with Gus in a summer school in Thomastown, and Gus has lots of involvement in those kind of initiatives. But I'd be keen to ask the panel, what do you think we can do in that area if we feel that the skills or the level of, if we're to really benchmark ourselves against international best practice in certain craft areas and the skills are not here, what can we do?
Just a project we're involved in at the moment with the CIF, Construction Industry Federation, and the National Heritage Training Group. It's around restoration work on buildings, and we're working with them to develop programs, and it's in consultation with Northern Ireland and the UK. So a lot of this work is already taking place, training and so on in the UK and Northern Ireland. So we have a group that can tap into that, if you like, and the plan would be then to roll out training. But ultimately, the training would be mainly focused on people who are redundant class people, you know.
Given your remit.
Yeah, given our remit is for unemployed, you know. But nevertheless.
Okay, that's certainly an opportunity. Anybody else have to comment on that?
I think it's a huge resource within the workshops themselves. And I mean, realistically, to set up a new course in all these different disciplines is hard. And therefore, the matching of people who've been upgraded or training, that might be kind of broad and just identify. I've certainly sent students to the UK, Karen Morgan went to Jack Loxley, where you can see the sort of things. And that's a relatively inexpensive thing to do. You know, identify where you can get those skills. If it's engraving, who's the best engraver? You know, when it go. And if the cost now, okay, if you've got to fund it, it's far more economical than, you know, setting up a specialist engraving course that might not be before.
Would it not be more economical for 14 people to be able to sit at a bench with that specialist engraver, you know, in an environment that's already been established as an evening course?
Yeah, that's the other way around it, and I'm sure, I mean, EMA's done summer courses. We're bringing, the Cross Council down in Thomastown is going up to do quite a lot of weekend courses, and we just started doing those again. You know, we're just doing Kimbo. I mean, the demand has been phenomenal. So you can bring 12 people, and when they go away, they have all the knowledge. Yes. So it's good.
I was just going to say, I think it's beneficial for people to travel because you can live within sort of stay in your own country, and I think to work with recognised craftspeople who are, you know, at the highest level of their own particular craft is very beneficial to people, even if it's for a short time, and that would be a good way of getting
Something that positive mentor type system.
Would it be possible to do something that you mentioned earlier? It might be more financially viable to bring an expert master here for your 15 engravers than to send 15 engravers somewhere. So that might be an option as well.
Yeah. But even if you are the only one, you ask around and you're the only one who needs to know.
Still worth doing.
You can still do it. I mean, most craftspeople are can-do people. I mean, that's what I enjoy about working with. You know, they solve problems, they work out ways of doing things. Now, that doesn't have to apply just to your material or craft. It can apply to how you gain that further knowledge or how you attend a conference. I mean, we can all be creative and even the business side. And I would have been the same. I left college with no sense of business, having set up a business. But I registered self-employed to pay out that college and do it. And I made huge mistakes. But, you know, even the business side can be creative. You know, I have Marion McDonald comes down with the students and she just teaches it. It's a creative subject, and suddenly you think, yes, this is challenging. So I think, and it can be rewarded and it can be fun. You know, business skills modules I have with our students, they think because it's not presented in a dry way. It's creative. They're creating.
Yeah, from an entrepreneurial point of view, I'd like to endorse what Gus has said, because I think if we come back to craft in the classroom this morning, at primary level, and we're looking really to the future. So if we're trying to do things at primary, secondary, third level, fourth level, lifelong learning, there's an enormous opportunity, I think, at the moment in transition year. Now, I know there is a young entrepreneur kind of facility that different organisations run, but I think there's a really creative opportunity that could build on craft in the classroom to build into a creative way of learning to do business that would involve prototyping and would in a fun way engage you in business practice, but at the same time build on from craft in the classroom and engage further for another year, because there doesn't seem to be too much opportunity in secondary year. And also in the fact that people are at a stage where they're into ongoing professional development. Maybe we could use that year as a way to take teachers into additional training to help as a support teaching system. So we're actually harnessing what's already here, but in a much more productive way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, having a daughter who's just done transitioning, I think there's massive potential in that transition program. Because I think the second level, I mean, primary level of college is well paid for, and there's huge creativity. And as Robinson says, as we go through our education system, creativity is taught out of us. And so the secondary level, and with this obsession with points, is where we lose it. And so you're not getting sort of teenagers coming through really excited about being creative and running businesses and actually designing all the creative arts. It's almost strangled out of saying that the few that do come through, and I would have been one of those that came through, go into degree colleges and it opens out again. But it's like this funnel in second, and really, and the saddest thing you can ever hear from a teenager is, I can't do that. I can't make things, I'll never do it. And they're 15 years old. I mean, your heart just sinks. But there is massive potential, I think, for transition. It's doable. It's doable.
They have a better system, I think, in education in other countries. I've just had the opportunity in the last couple of years of teaching students that have come, say, from Latvia, and from Poland, and from Estonia, and they can already, I'm fashion design is my main subject, they can already sew and make patterns after their secondary school experience. So it's doable. There's some people do it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll just take a question.
I think there is a problem of duplication in Ireland, especially in the third level. I teach in Limerick College of Art and Design myself. But if one went through region by region and looked at what the colleges are doing, and you looked at prospectuses, they all are cherry picking and choosing the same program, a suite of subjects, as it were. But I think within Ireland, if the Ministry of Education or some department or other could actually come up with the idea that, well, we need possibly more variety, but maybe we only need one basket making course. I mean, look at the wonderful exhibition the Crafts Council had on basket recently, or boat building, or enamelling. But to spread them out across the country and diversify and give people choice. I mean, how many LITs and universities give accounting? Just for an example. Yeah. So I think we should get more variety to the education and make sure that nothing dies on the vine because it hasn't been focused on.
Okay, I'm conscious of time. We're running a little bit late, but I'd just like to ask the panel for maybe some final thoughts on how do we prepare for the future in terms of training and CPD. And just like each panel member to comment on that, I'll take some final questions. I'm going to try and go within 5 minutes. If I can ask the panel that, please.
Well, just very short. I think we are going into very difficult times. The critical open crisis is something opportunity. So, there are opportunities there, and I think we have to be very creative. And as creative people, I think we have to stand forward and take the ground. I mean, we've seen all the other systems failing, frankly. So there is an opportunity for us to, having gone through, always being regarded, because we work with enhanced, not quite as intelligent as somebody else who works here. I think there is an opportunity for us to take a fairly firm position in making decisions in policy. It's up to us to do.
Yes, I think that obviously the craft area needs to be encouraged and to create spare time, and people will be interested in starting their own businesses. And the fact that there are courses out there, like the students courses that you can, take the parts that you're interested in. You can build up units, and you can do the business aspect of it as well. But there are plenty of options for people. And I agree with the speaker who said it should be spread around a little bit more, but people are probably driven by demand and brings the duplication.
Yeah, well, we have increased our provision around the whole enterprise area quite significantly this year. And but again, it's mainly aimed at unemployed people. For instance, we have a new Steps to Self-Employment program. It's an 8-week program aimed at skilled trade and other skilled people. And that's running in a number of locations. But on the technical side, I think there's a need for some broad-based training program for younger people and let them sample a lot of different types of craft skills. Of course, obviously, it would have to lead to some progression to the front, but I think it's something that would be worth researching.
So just briefly, Ellen, I suppose one of the themes of this kind of discussion here is just working together in partnership, and the craftspeople themselves, we're speaking from our own experience here in Kilkenny, are beginning to organise themselves a little bit better on the ground. And the report talks about clusters, but I would say it's more networking that needs to go on, and how that is done, and how we can achieve that, because we need Kilkenny, Kilkenny with the craft trade, they've come together. So the agency is working with the craft networks to improve delivery. And if I could just say, I've just left out some brochures there in relation to the tools and supports that the County Enterprise Board currently has on offer, so that anyone really wants to get those.
I think that there's definitely scope to develop partnerships for specific craft and technical production and design CPD. I probably should duck at that stage because questions I know everything about it, but I do know that people, when they want to change to different products and different methods of production, come to me and they say, look, I'm lacking this link, and I try and work it out with a mentor or a master crafts person or something like that, but there's definitely scope for growth in that area.
Thank you. Can I ask our audience, our participants, for any final questions?
It's more of a plea than a question.
Please, certainly. We're open to everything here.
Since the conference is about education, the people who pay for education are the parents. And what we have to do is instill confidence within the parents that an art education, a craft education is a worthwhile pursuit. And to that end, I think everybody in the room here will applaud the program by RTE Hands. And what we know about the history of craft and design in Ireland is down to hands. But to actually get a message across, you really have to go to the likes of RTE. What we do here will maybe be preaching to the converted, to get to the masses, to get to the parents, to get to the children. What I propose is that we produce a new hands program, but about contemporary craft. People do not understand contemporary craft. They are still in the mindset of artisan. And for instance, if on RTE we had a program talking about Francis Lamb, Inga Reid, people like this, and actually let the general public see what it is to be a craftsman, see the lifestyle, see where they stand in the community, that would be so educational, and it would be for the masses. And then we wouldn't have to worry about perceptions, because people would understand.
No, thank you very much, and it's a very valid point. And to let you know, it is something that we have discussed in the Crafts Council. And I can see a colleague down there at the back of the room, Susan Brindley, who's our head of PR and marketing, and it is something that we're very conscious of, and we're exploring how that might happen. Okay, I'll take one final question.
This is just relating to the skills that are in danger of dying out, particularly thatching, basketry, blacksmithing, and some of the things that were mentioned there by Derek in particular earlier on. I think you should look outside the box in terms of going towards the National Museum and the Heritage Council as effective co-lobbyists with you in terms of trying to protect those skills. And we're aware of the joint purchase scheme the National Museum has, but that's with the Crafts Council, which focuses more on traditional decorative arts areas like ceramics, glass, and metalwork, particularly silver. But it doesn't focus on Irish folklife material, which would be thatching, boat building, basketry, which are really, and in pipe making, which is really at risk. So that's something that should be developed further with that particular section of the National Museum.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Okay, I'd like to thank all of our panel members for their contributions. I'm just going to move over. Today. There's a few people I'd like to thank. As I said, I'd like to thank all of our panel members. I'm going to bring our conference to a close now, but there's a number of people that I'd like to mention in terms of preparing for today. So, first of all, thank you to all of our speakers who came along and for their really valuable contribution. I really appreciate, and we really appreciate, the preparation and the work that goes into that, not to mention travelling to Kilkenny, but at least it was a beautiful day. So thank you to all of those people. Thank you to our participants, thank you to you, our audience. We really look forward to working with you. You've generated discussion and debate that we really are taking away with us after today and thinking about where we can take it next. So today was about creating those connections, and I'm delighted to see so many people here. And one thing that I was really delighted to see was the range of people represented here today. We have people from, we have craftspeople, we have educators, we have people from national bodies, we have people from training providers, enterprise boards, and so on. So really getting that mix of people who all have an interest in craft education and training is absolutely fabulous, and we are genuinely delighted to see you all here today. I want to thank the team, they're not here at Kilkenny Castle, Frank and Anne, who helped with all the technical stuff, so thank you to them. And I really want to thank my team, who are, just in case I forget, not that I would, but I'd like to thank Emer, Louise, Leslie, Jenny, who I don't see anymore, Eamon Conrad is sitting down at the back, Gus Mapleson, and Vicky. To say we are the newly organised education, training and development team at the Crafts Council, and today entailed an awful lot of work from everybody on the team, and I really want to pay tribute to all the extra effort, the people who presented, people who contributed, Jenny, who did a huge amount of paperwork and all those lovely signs that you saw on the packs that you're taking away. So I want to say thank you to my team. I really appreciated their work. And the final word, I'd like to say thank you to Una Parsons, who I see down the back, our Chief Executive, for, I suppose, enabling today to happen. It's been part of a new strategy at the Crafts Council, and our team coming together, the report, and culminating, or really the starting point is today in terms of a public event. But that's been very much part of what Una has been working on for the last